My earliest memory is the sound of glass breaking. Not like the delicate shatter of a wine glass. No, something deeper, meatier. It was the window in the living room, and my mother had just been thrown through it. I was 5. There was blood on the floor, mixing with the muddy snow from her boots, and my father's boots, his black, steel-toed monsters, stood in the doorway, triumphant like some goddamn war general surveying a battlefield. He didn't even speak, just stood there, breathing heavy through his nose like a bull, jaw twitching, hands still clenched. My brother Eli, older by 6 years, dragged her out of the broken glass, cradling her head, whispering, "Mom, hey, stay with me, please. You gotta keep your eyes open." I just watched, frozen. That was my introduction to family. You want to know where the fire started? It wasn't one spark. It was friction. 1,000 nights of screaming, bruises hidden under long sleeves, plates flying like missiles, walls punched through like paper, and always that silent tension that filled the air even on good days. My father wasn't a man. He was a storm in boots. He was a machinist by trade. Long hours, hard hands. But it wasn't the work that made him cruel. He carried it in him, like a disease passed down from some ancient bloodline of bastards. His father was the same, apparently. A man who beat my grandmother until she swallowed a bottle of bleach and didn't wake up. Nobody talks about that part. But I found the obituary in a shoebox once. That was the day I realized curses can be inherited. The house we grew up in was small. 1 story, 3 bedrooms. But it might as well have been a prison. The walls had ears, and eyes, and mouths that whispered at night. We weren't allowed to close our doors. We weren't allowed to cry. I remember Eli breaking that rule once. He was 14. I was 8. Dad had just come home from work and found out Eli had skipped school. It wasn't even for something stupid. He'd gone to protect a friend from getting jumped. But Dad didn't ask. He didn't care. I watched from the hallway as he dragged Eli into the kitchen, pushed him against the fridge, and beat him with the buckle end of his belt. The sound, that wet, snapping crack, still echoes in my spine. That night, I heard Eli sobbing in our room. He tried to muffle it with his pillow, but I could still hear, and for the first time in my life, I hated my father. I hated him more than words could ever stretch to hold. But I was just a kid. What could I do? I stayed small. I stayed quiet. I learned how to make myself invisible. My mother told me it was better that way. Don't provoke him, baby. Just keep your head down. But what happens when keeping your head down just gets you stepped on harder? I remember the first time he turned on me. I was 12. I had just spilled a glass of milk on the kitchen counter. An accident. Nothing more. But something in him snapped that day. Maybe the factory had been slow. Maybe the bills were late again. Or maybe he just needed someone smaller than him to remind himself he still had power. He backhanded me so hard I saw stars. I woke up on the kitchen floor, lips split, head ringing. My mother was kneeling over me, crying quietly, holding a dish towel to my face. "He didn't mean it," she whispered over and over, like some pathetic chant. "He's just stressed." "No, Mum, he meant it. He always meant it." After that, something changed in me. A heat began to build, slow, steady, patient. I started counting down the years until I could leave. I studied hard. I kept my mouth shut. I learned to smile through the bruises. The day I turned 18, I packed my shit, hugged Eli, kissed Mom's cheek, and said goodbye to that hellhole. But the fire didn't go out. It followed me. I went to college, got a job, built a life that looked nothing like the one I came from. People said I was kind, empathetic. I even believed them sometimes. But every night I dreamed of fire. Every night I saw my father's face, contorted with rage, laughing as the house burned down around him. Then came the phone call. Eli was dead. He'd come back home. Tried to take Mom and leave for good this time. They'd argued, fought. The story Dad told the police was that Eli slipped, fell down the stairs. It was ruled an accident. But I knew. God. I knew. When I saw him at the funeral, he had the audacity to cry. Real tears. Like he hadn't shoved his own son down a flight of stairs hard enough to crack his neck. I didn't say a word, just stood there, clutching the urn like a lifeline, promising Eli with every fiber of my being that it wouldn't end like this, that I wouldn't let the story repeat. So I came back, to the house, to him, not to reconcile, but to end it, once and for all. I parked 2 blocks away, hoodie up, hands shaking but steady enough to hold the lighter. I'd brought gasoline, a bottle, a rag, and something else. A knife Ali had given me when I turned 16. It still had his initials carved into the handle. It wasn't about revenge. It was about liberation. From him, from the curse, from the bloodline that had turned our family into a legacy of bruises and silence. He opened the door, and I knocked. Same boots, same sneer. "You look like shit," he said. "So do you," I replied. He laughed. "What, you come to weep over your big brother? Gonna cry on my porch now, boy?" "No," I said, and I stepped inside. The fire between us was just beginning to blaze. The house smelled the same: sweat, beer, mildew, and that faint metallic tang of rusted tools. As soon as the door closed behind me, it felt like time folded in on itself, like I was 12 again, bracing for a blow I wouldn't see coming. He didn't offer me a seat, just turned and walked into the kitchen, like I was expected to follow. I did. "So," he said, cracking a beer. The hiss of the can opening was deafening. "What's this about? You come here to play the grieving son? Or just looking to pick a fight?" I didn't answer. He sat at the kitchen table, the same one where Eli got beat, half to death, same cigarette burns on the wood, same cracked linoleum floor. He looked older now, grayer, slower, but not softer. Never that. "Well, spit it out." I reached into my coat and pulled out the knife, set it on the table, handle toward me. His eyes narrowed. He didn't flinch, just stared at it, then at me. "You think you're gonna scare me with that?" I sat down across from him. My hands trembled, but my voice didn't. "You murdered my brother." He laughed. Not loud, just a low, raspy chuckle like a car trying to start. "You always were the dramatic one. You think I pushed him?" He tripped. Dumbass. Never could walk straight. "I saw the coroner's report." I lied. He looked away, just for a second. "Enough." "Even if I had," he started. "You did. He had it coming, trying to take your mother from me. This house, acting like he was some damn hero." I stood. "He didn't. You beat her. You beat us. You killed Eli. You want to know why I'm here? It's not for justice. It's not even for revenge." I reached into my other pocket, pulled out the lighter, flicked it once. Flame. "I'm here to burn it all down." His face twisted rage, disbelief, maybe even fear, but it was too late. I was already moving. I grabbed the gasoline from my backpack, uncapped it, poured a trail across the floor, around the table into the living room, up the hallway. "What the hell are you doing?" He stood then, fast, angry, the way he used to when Mom said the wrong thing. He reached for me, but I stepped back, holding the knife. "Sit the fuck down." He hesitated. For the first time in my life I saw it in his eyes. He wasn't sure. I lit the trail. Flame danced across the floor, catching fast. The couch erupted like dry kindling. Curtains smoked. The wallpaper peeled in the heat. "You're insane. You'll kill us both." "Maybe, but at least the fire ends here." He lunged. I sidestepped. He was slower now. His fists were still iron, but I was faster. I ducked, shoved him hard into the burning sofa. He screamed. The heat surged. Smoke filled the room. I turned and ran, out the front door, down the porch, across the lawn. I didn't look back until I was on the street. The house was fully aflame. Flames licked the roof. Windows shattered. I didn't hear sirens yet, just the roar of fire, just the sound of an ending. I watched until the roof collapsed. Then I dropped the knife on the sidewalk and walked away. Let the fire tell the story. I walked for hours. No destination, no plan, just one foot in front of the other. The smell of smoke trailing behind me, like a curse, finally shaken loose. The sun was rising by the time I made it to the edge of town. My hands were blistered. My throat raw. But the fire inside me, that endless scream that had lived in my ribs since I was a child, was finally quiet. I found a bench outside a shuttered gas station and sat there, watching the sky turn orange. I should have felt something like relief, freedom, even, but all I felt was empty, hollowed out, like the house wasn't the only thing that had burned. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Then came the sirens, distant but growing. I could imagine them now at the charred ruins of that house, digging through the debris, finding bone and ash, maybe even the knife I left like a confession in steel. Would they know what it meant? Would they care? It didn't matter. I wasn't running. Not really. I'd already done what I came to do. The curse was ash. By noon, I was back in the city. Took a bus. Sat at the back. Nobody looked twice. I passed a mirror in the terminal and barely recognized myself. Smoke-blackened eyes, hair like scorched grass. A smudge of blood dried on my cheek. I hadn't noticed before. I looked like a man who'd been through something biblical. I rented a motel room, paid cash, showered for an hour, and still felt dirty. That night, I dreamed of Eli. He was standing in the hallway again, 14, bloody, and bruised. But this time he looked at me. Really looked. "You think that was the end?" he asked. I woke up screaming. For 3 days, I stayed in that room. Curtains drawn. Lights off. I watched the news in silence. Local tragedy. House fire claims 1 life. Cause under investigation. They didn't name me. Not yet. But eventually they would. There'd be records. Witnesses. Someone would remember the kid who knocked on the door that night. Maybe even the gas station clerk who sold me the lighter. I waited. And on the 5th day, they came. Unmarked car. 2 officers. They knocked politely. I let them in. The interrogation was quiet. No cuffs. No yelling. Just tired questions, and the hollow sound of me giving nothing back. Until finally I said it. He killed my brother. He beat my mother. He beat me. I didn't go there to murder him. I went to stop him. I went to end the fire. One of them asked. "And did you?" I didn't answer. They booked me. The trial was quick. Manslaughter. Arson. The DA made it sound clinical. Clean. They didn't care about bruises that faded decades ago. About the ghosts, still screaming in that house. But something strange happened. People spoke up. Old neighbors. A teacher. Even my mother, trembling on the stand, told them what he was. What he'd done. What we all survived. The sentence was light. Too light, some said. 5 years, with parole. But prison wasn't the punishment. Living with it was. The fire did end that night. But only the part that roared. The part that whispered still lingered. In my dreams. In my jaw. Every time I clenched it too hard. In the way I couldn't stand the smell of smoke without my hands shaking. I started writing letters. To Ellie. Never mailed. Just pages and pages of things I should have said when he was alive. Things I wish I could undo. Things I can't. And sometimes, when the nights are too quiet, I swear I hear the house again, creaking. Breathing, waiting for the next generation. But there won't be one. Not if I can help it. The fire may have taken everything, but from its ashes I will build something new. Something that doesn't scream. Something that doesn't burn. Prison is quieter than I imagined. Or maybe I've just gotten used to silence. It's not like the movies. There's no constant yelling, no shiving in the showers. Just routine, repetition. A slow bleed of days that dull the edges of every emotion. I keep to myself, head down, mouth shut. Old habits, after all. You'd be surprised how much staying invisible translates behind bars. My bunkmate is a man named Curtis, mid-50s, grey stubble, tattoos that run down his arms like cracked riverbeds. He's in for grand theft auto and armed robbery. Been in and out for decades. We don't talk much, but when we do, it's usually about dreams. "You got that look," he said once. "Like someone who ain't sleepin' for reasons they don't talk about." I shrugged. "Nightmares." He didn't ask what about. Just nodded like he understood. The nightmares are getting worse. Sometimes it's Eli, asking me why I left him there so many times. Sometimes it's my father, crawling out of the fire, flesh melting, eyes full of that same hunger he always carried. But the worst ones, The ones where I'm the one hitting, screaming, becoming him. Every day I write. More letters, more confessions. I write about the sound Mom made the night he broke her arm, about the way Eli used to hum when he was scared, about the silence that came after every punch. I write until my hand cramps. I've started therapy, court-mandated. A woman named Dr. Reyes comes in once a week. She's patient, calm, asks questions like she already knows the answers. Do you think killing him made you feel safe? No. It made me feel like him. She didn't flinch. But you're not him. I wanted to believe her. God. I did. But how do you separate the fire from the flame? How do you scrub generations of blood from under your nails? I told her about the curse. Every man in my family has hurt someone. My grandfather, my father, me. It doesn't end with fire. It ends with silence, with discipline, with never letting it rise again. She asked if I wanted kids someday. No, I said. Too fast. Because I don't trust what's inside me. But then something strange happened. A letter from my mother. She hadn't written since the trial. I figured she never would. But there it was, trembling in my hands, the envelope soft from her careful handwriting. Inside 3 pages, short, unsteady, but real. She told me she forgave me. Not because what I did wasn't wrong, but because she understood, because she saw in me something he never had, a breaking point. She was living with her sister now, said the nightmares were quieter. Said Eli would be proud of me. That part made me cry. Curtis didn't say a word, just passed me a napkin and kept reading his book. I started counting the days differently after that. Not time served, time remaining. I got a job in the prison library, cataloguing books, organizing shelves. Something about the order calms me. For the first time in years, I can breathe without tasting smoke. Dr. Reyes asked me what I'll do when I get out. I told her I'll go somewhere quiet, somewhere green, plant something, build something, maybe volunteer, maybe write. And what about the fire, she asked. It'll always be there, I said. But now I know how to watch it without feeding it. She smiled. Parole hearing is 6 months away. Until then, I keep writing, keep counting, keep walking the yard with the quiet steps of a man who knows what it costs to raise his voice. The curse may have started long before me, but I'll be damned if it continues after me. The day of my parole hearing, the sky was the same color as smoke, dull gray, neither threatening nor clear. Curtis slapped my shoulder before I left the cell. Keep your mouth straight. Don't let him see the fire. I didn't know if I should laugh or cry at that. Dr. Reyes sat behind me in the hearing room. She didn't speak, just offered a quiet nod when they called my name. The board asked the usual questions. Do I feel remorse? Yes. Do I accept responsibility? I do. Would I do it again? Silence. I gave them what they needed to hear, but inside, the truth burned quieter. I did what I had to do. They granted it. Parole. 2 weeks later, I stepped outside and took my first breath of air as a free man in years. It tasted like rust, like rain on concrete, like possibility. Mom was waiting. We didn't hug, just stood staring at each other until she said, "You look older." So do you. The ride home was quiet. We passed the street where Eli used to skateboard, the gas station where I bought the lighter. Neither of us said a word. She lives in a 1-bedroom apartment now. Plants on every windowsill. A cat that doesn't like me. I sleep on the couch. For now. The nightmares still come, but softer, less fire, more smoke. I start working at a shelter, just part-time, helping sort donations. Nothing big, but the director, a woman named Shonda, sees through me like glass. "You've got that look," she says one day. What look? Like someone who walked through hell and came out the other side but forgot how to breathe. I want to laugh, but I don't. She's right, so I try. I try waking up early, drinking coffee on the porch, taking walks without flinching at loud noises. I even try writing something new. Not letters, but a story, fiction, about a boy, and a fire, and a house that remembers pain. One night, I dream of Eli again. But he's not screaming this time. He's sitting with me on a bench, smiling. Oh, good, he says. Don't forget me, but don't carry me like a weight. When I wake up, I cry for a long time, and then I write that down too. Dr. Reyes recommended I start talking to other survivors, so I do. Slowly, carefully. A group at the library, mostly women. I tell them my story, and for the first time, I don't feel like a monster, just a man. Flawed, ash-covered, but healing. One day, I visit the lot where the house once stood. It's empty now, overgrown, the foundation gone, like it was never there at all. I bring a candle, light it, not for him, for Eli. For me, then I blow it out. Not everything that burns needs to stay lit. Healing is not linear. Everyone says that. What they don't say is how often it feels like you're walking barefoot over broken glass, smiling just enough to convince the world you're fine. 3 months out, I get up, I eat, I work, I sleep. The motions are becoming habits, but sometimes I catch myself flinching at kindness, like it's a setup, like something sweet has to end bitter. Mom has softened. She keeps her voice low. She never walks up behind me too fast. We don't talk about the house or Dad or Eli unless I bring it up. She's learning just like I am. One morning she leaves a box on the table. No note, just old photos, some of which I've never seen. Eli holding me when I was a baby. Mom, in her 20s, smiling with all her teeth. Even one of Dad young grinning before the war in him started. I spend hours going through them, not crying, just remembering. That night I start writing again. This time it's not about fire, it's about rivers, about washing away pain, about a boy who carries a scar across his back and learns to turn it into a story instead of a weapon. Shonda reads a chapter. She doesn't say much, just nods and says, "Keep going." And I do. I help fix up the shelter's kitchen, paint the walls, patch cracks. Something about putting broken things back together gives me peace. Dr. Reyes visits once a month now. She notices the way my eyes don't dart as much, the way my voice is steadier. "Do you still feel the fire?" she asks. "No," I tell her. "Now I feel the scar." She nods. "That's good. It means it's healing." On Eli's birthday, I hike to the woods behind, where the house used to be. There's a river that cuts through the trees. He loved it there. We used to skip rocks and talk about running away to somewhere warmer. I bring one of his shirts, old, faded. I lay it on a stone and sit there for hours, not thinking, not planning, just sitting. And then I whisper, "I'm trying. I swear I am." A breeze passes through the trees. That night, I dream of fireflies, of laughter, of Eli's voice calling my name from the riverbank. I don't wake up screaming. I wake up smiling. There will always be a scar, but scars don't scream. They whisper, they teach, they remind. And for the first time in my life, I believe I might be okay. Peace didn't come all at once. It crept in slow and uncertain, like light through smoke. A glimmer here, a flicker there, until one day I looked around and realized I wasn't bracing for pain anymore. 6 months out, I've published the book. Not a bestseller, not a masterpiece, but real, mine. It's called The Fire Between Us. I didn't put my full name on it, just initials, but people found it. Survivors reached out, readers who saw themselves in the pages, and I wrote back, every single one. Mom keeps a copy on her nightstand. Sometimes she rereads parts and we talk. Not like we used to, with careful words and long silences, but openly, honestly. She's finally smiling without apology. I think Eli would have loved seeing her like this. Shonda and I? We're something. Not lovers. Not quite family. Just companions. We talk, walk, laugh. She tells me when I'm being too hard on myself, and I listen. Usually. The nightmares are rare now, and when they come, I sit with them. Let them pass like storms. I don't fight them. I remind myself, I survive. On the anniversary, I return to the woods. I find the river. I bring no offerings this time. No shirts, no candles, just myself. I sit on the same stone where I left Eli's shirt. The moss has grown back. The current still hums. I close my eyes and breathe. I whisper, "It's okay now, I promise." And I mean it. I rise and walk back through the trees, the path dappled in sunlight. There is no fire behind me, no curse clinging to my heels, just peace. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but I know this. I'm not him. I never was, and I never will be. The fire is out. The story is told. The curse is broken. The end.